Welcome back, Sebastian here. So time for my review for the 2024 Baku Feature Race. So, not the most exciting race, I would say, in terms of on-track action racing. We did have one massive crash at the start of the race, followed by a lengthy red flag. More on that in a bit. But in terms of the racing that we got, not a whole lot really. Unfortunately, that's kind of the way it is sometimes at Baku. So, started with Versure. Same acronym, different driver. But starting with Versure on pole, Antonelli P2, we get a big crash right off the line. And what happened was Chris Miney stalled, starting 5th on the grid. And what happens is the drivers behind him, they react, they see that he's stalled, and they basically swerve out of the way of him. But what happens is the drivers further back, basically towards the back of the field, as they approach him, they have less and less time to react, and it's just kind of a weird physics thing. But basically what happens is the drivers at the back, unfortunately in this case, did not have enough time to react to Miney's basically motionless car. And what happened was Marty, who I think was starting P20 on the grid, basically just plows right into the back of him, flips his car over, he goes sideways into the wall, he reflips over, so right side up. Goethe also hit Miney's car pretty hard, and he was out of the race. So basically those were the three main drivers involved. Luckily all of them unharmed. Miney's car not really existing, not much left of it. But luckily I think that's really a testament to the safety of the new F2 cars. And even though we shouldn't really need to have a real life test of their safety. So all the drivers are okay. We have a lengthy red flag to clear up the very large amount of debris that spread all along the main straight. Versure, basically getting back to the main action, Versure keeps his lead. Antonelli P2. The red flag was about 45 minutes. We got going, and then we had 2 laps under the safety car. So this means that really from when the race started to when racing actually got going again, it was pretty close to a 15-minute delay. And of course, because of that, because they run on such a tight schedule, because of course we have the Grand Prix, which is the main event later today. They basically had to cut the end of the race, and they basically had to start going based on time. So that's why you'll notice on a lot of my notes it's not laps, it's actually based on time. And they also had to do the shortened race distance point scoring system. I believe it's the one between 50% and 75% is the one that they ended up using. But we get going, rolling start. I guess they didn't want a repeat of this start line crash. Very slow restart by Versure, but he keeps his lead. With 27 minutes left in the race, Browning overtakes Hauger for P11, I believe at turn 5, turn 6. But Hauger retakes the position at turn 8, basically the corner going into the castle section. But very, very aggressive cuts Browning off, and also takes part of his front wing end plate off as well. He would get a 5-second penalty for that. With 25 minutes left in the race, Mertens overtakes Antonelli for P2 going into turn 1. With 23 minutes left in the race, Mertens putting pressure on Versure. With 21 minutes, Mertens overtakes Versure for P1 at turn 1. And then with 19 minutes left, we have our first pit stops. And this is when they announced that Hauger got his 5-second penalty. For some reason, the Japanese commentators were a bit confused as to why he didn't drop down the order on the final standings, and that's because he almost certainly served that penalty in his pit stop. But again, I could be wrong on that. 18 minutes left to go in the session. The top 3 all pit the exact same lap. But unfortunately for Mertens, after doing a lot of hard work on track, overtaking Versure, overtaking Antonelli, he has a slow stop and he drops down to 3rd in the order behind his 2 rivals. With 15 minutes to go, Mansell, who decided to pit a lap later, he has a very slow stop and he drops well out of the points, I believe, at that point. But it turns out he would end up back in the points. But yeah, he was in the fight with Durskin, I believe, and some of these other drivers as well, and Aaron. But unfortunately for him, that pit stop basically dropped him well down the order, and I thought it would have been well outside the points. But it turns out not the case. Where are we? Yeah, so Maloney, Antonelli, this is where they made contact at turn 3. So basically Maloney was one of the drivers who decided to pit the lap after the 3 leaders. Coming out of the pits, while you do gain track position, pitting a lap later, your tires are so cold especially at a track like this where there's not very many high-speed corners to help warm the tires up. So going into turn 3, Maloney is defending from Antonelli, and with Antonelli on the outside, Maloney on the inside. Realistically, Maloney should have just backed out, realized he was going to lose the position, and just take his points for P4 and go home. Instead, what happens is Maloney basically decides he wants to keep the position, he wants to try to go for a podium, and he brakes way too late. He completely locks up, and he was never going to make the corner. Antonelli, of course, tries to basically turn into the corner at turn 3, but Maloney's basically completely misses the corner, goes down the escape road. You get contact as well, so Maloney ends up spinning. Antonelli, maybe some minor damage, not really sure. But the end result is that Antonelli continues on, loses a position to Martin, so it goes from P2 to P3, and Maloney basically falls to the back of the field. The stewards looked at the incident, and I think rightfully decided no further action was required for that. I think Maloney gave himself enough of a penalty with that move and basically ended up at the back of the field. Maloney basically just outbrakes himself. Hadjar, last driver to pit, he was basically hoping for a repeat of Monza, where Bortoleto basically went from P20 to the win by pitting under a safety car. That's basically what Hadjar needed. Didn't come out, so he comes out 14th. Really rough weekend for Hadjar. He basically got no points, and he loses his championship lead this weekend. With 5 minutes left, Antonelli out of range of the top 2, so I thought, maybe damage, maybe not. But Bortoleto and P4 not able to make inroads and, pressure him into a mistake or try to overtake him. With 3 minutes left to go in the race, Mini crashes into the barriers at turn 15, just probably carried a little bit too much speed in, outbraked himself. You could see the tire smoke coming out, and that he was well embedded into those barriers. So that led to a virtual safety car, which eventually became a safety car, and ultimately led to the checkered flag without any kind of green flag racing to finish the race. So a bit of an anticlimactic race. A couple big incidents, one at the start, I guess one in the middle, then one right at the end as well. But yeah, not a whole lot of actual racing today, unfortunately, in the F2 feature race. So in terms of points, I've written the points on the board. So basically, Rashur got 19 points for winning, Martins 14 for second, Antonelli third, 12 points for third, Bortoleto 10 points, plus 1 for fastest lap. Rashur's 2 extra points are for getting pole position as well. Dorskin 5th got 8 points, 6th Aaron gets 6 points, 7th Browning gets 4, 8th Crawford gets 3, 9th Hauger gets 2, 10th Mansell gets 1. So your 3 drivers who made their debuts in Azerbaijan, a very tough track, they all come away with points. So definitely watch out for those 3 drivers next year, where I expect all 3 of them to be making their full-time debuts. Outside the points, you have Fittipaldi, Cordial, Miata, Hadjar, and Maloney. Then you have a pretty long list of drivers who didn't finish the race, within Mini, Cordial, that's Correa. Yeah, it's Correa. Second weekday in a row that I've mixed the 2 up. Yesterday it was 2 Correas. Today it's 2 Cordials. And then 18th Coolin, and then not 19th, but basically 19th on my board. Coolin, Villa Gomez, Gerther, Marty, and Miney are all the rest of the DNFs. In terms of championship standings, Bortoleto now has the lead in the F2 championship as a rookie. And again, there's been a lot of news kind of recently about him potentially being in the running for a seat at Audi, so that could be quite interesting. And with rumors going around of Lawson potentially getting a seat at RB next year, we could have 5 rookies on the grid, which would be the first time that's happened in almost a decade. I believe 2015 was the last time that happened, with Verstappen, Sainz, Nasser, Mary, and Stevens all making their full-time F1 debuts that year. So second Hadjar drops out, only 4.5 points though. So with 2 rounds left, realistically, he could easily get that championship lead back at the next round. Third Maloney 135, 4th Aaron 133, 5th Crawford 116, 6th Antonelli 113, 7th Colapinto 96, 8th Martins with 93, 9th Hauger with 83.5, 10th Verschurv with 81, 11th Miney with 74, 12th Fittipaldi with 61, 13th Dorskin with 61, 14th O'Sullivan with 59, 15th Behrman on 50, 16th I'm already on 43. 17th, Carrera on 31. 17th, Cordial on 29. Also on 29 is Miata in 19th, and 20th Barnard on 18, 21st Stanek on 14, 22nd Dora Gomez on 13, 23rd Mini on 6, 24 Browning on 4, 25, 25th Mansell on 2, and then Gerther and Kulin, the 2 drivers without points. So there you go, there's my review of the F2 Baku Feature Race. A couple big incidents, not a whole lot of great racing, but you know, it was a race. So I'll be back, I'd say 3 hours or so probably, when we have the F1 race. That should be pretty exciting, starting in a couple hours time. So yeah, looking forward to that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, if you enjoyed the video, please like it. If you haven't subscribed and you want to watch more, please subscribe as well. Anyway, that's all for today, or not for today, but that's all for now. Goodbye.